Okay.
Thanks. So yeah, okay. I don't need to introduce Natabara, who is also from the Gyöngyössy University, and he will give us the continuation of the previous talk, in the hands-on part.
Yeah, thank you. I have been interrupting the previous presenters frequently enough so that you might know my voice and my face. I also closed the windows here. So before we get to the hands-on session, I would like to just introduce you a few concepts that we will be working on during the hands-on sessions. And the main idea roots in this reg pipeline we have already checked. So basically, when a user query enters our LLM system, then we somehow formulate a proper query, a proper request for an external whatever tool through the language model, because this question formulation is a small step. It's a really simple step. It's something the language model can solve if the API is defined in the external tool. Then we get some results, and then the language model is tasked to formulate the results in a way that it answers the original user question. And then the language model reflects on its result, possibly improving it even more. So that's one round for this question solving or problem solving. And then if you remember, we had this COT problem where we tried to reason, where we tried to decompose everything into small steps of information. And we will do the same reasoning with this pipeline, basically. We will round it up to wheel, and we will be using agents. Agents are, in the classical AI sense, close to or thought to be autonomous actors who will have some observation of the environment, where the environment is the user and all the tools we have. They will reason about what to do in this situation. They will come up with a plan for an action. They will criticize this action and come up with a revised version of this action, and then parameterize this action and send it for execution to the external tool. Then again, take the observations, the response from the external tool, reason about it, and so on and so on and so on. So what you have seen with the Copilot example, where there was some code generated and there were some errors, then an observation could be that, okay, my generated code has this error. So what do I do now? And then without any manual interruption, the language model can iteratively work on the problem. Of course, there should be some external boundaries set. You cannot just let these loose on the internet. This is classified as a cyber threat at the moment. So, so this is something you shouldn't do at the moment, or at least bear all the responsibility for the actions of such an agent. But in a controlled environment like an IDE, with possibly some delta changes made only, not exact code file changes, just suggestions, this could be a good idea. And also in agent systems, usually we have roles for each agent. So there could be multiple agents in this conversation. There could be a front desk agent who converses with the user. There could be a controller or planner or master agent who decomposes the user's request into manageable sized tasks. And then this controller assigns each task to specialized agents. These agents could be either computer programs, or these could be other LLM configurations. So we call it the same LLM, but with different prompts, different configurations that can access different external knowledge bases or programs. Okay, and then let me skip a few slides. One more thing. I told you that this is considered a cyber threat. AI Act will be implemented for next year, and there will be some banned AI systems. Maybe for you, the assistance in creating biological or chemical hazards will be a banned one, and you will have to make sure and will be able or may need to prove that your AI system cannot assist in such a thing. Yeah.
I think lawyers think a bit differently, and they for the discrimination and
those are also important. Yeah, but
maybe nuclear one, but that's not so important.
biohazard the nuclear was in there, I guess.
Bio is more easier than.
Yeah. It's really easy to cook poison. Yeah. Just to go back to my high school memories, I still have my high school notebook where the home cooked TNT recipe is there, which was dictated by the. So
We can delete this.
Yeah.
From
Please delete it. Of course. Anyway, so this is definitely just an easy way to make harmful AI systems or jailbreak AI systems so that they can be harmful. Critical infrastructure, also employment, worker management, assistance, legal interpretation will be high risk. So there will be some extra assessment procedures and guarantees you will need to prove that these will not make decisions that can discriminate someone. And there will be general purpose AI systems that will need some extra guardrails and transparency.
Does transparency means that you have to provide what was the training?
No, you have to categorically state what kind of problems it is evaluated on and trained on.
And you have to state that your input is processed by AI.
Yeah, you have to. So there are things like this. You cannot say that this is a magic website. You have to say that this will be an AI procedure, and this AI is processed on this and this and that, and you have to provide benchmark results, and you have to write these benchmark results in a way that it is interpretable for the grand public.
Now I understand that that since AI is taking the job of the lawyers, they have to make something instead of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, joke.
So yeah, this is for ensuring customer rights mainly, and ensuring that there is no, I don't know, social scoring and so on and so on. Maybe one more thing, inferring psychological and philosophical parameters of a person will be high risk as well. So if you want to infer someone's, I don't know, political attitude, open-mindedness, neurosity, and so on, that is counted as a biometric personal data for the user, and that will be either banned or high risk based on the application itself. So care for this, please. I'm not a lawyer. Find a lawyer who knows what AI is. That's the message here. Yeah, question?
Okay, so banned as in banned in production, right? Nothing.
And in science, you will need ethical whatever's for that. Yeah. So there should be an ethical committee most of the time. I mean, the banned ones are usually really that simple. So these are not ethical at all. If you mean, the high risk ones are a little bit more interesting. Like what do you put emphasis on or what not? But that's it. Again, getting started with these things with which we were talking about. If you are a programmer, then you have to check out all the APIs. This presentation will be up there, so you can check the names. And also there are some vector databases that underline the almost open source and open source versions, which I think are production ready or stable. So these are the vector databases you can construct your data sets in if you want to do it in-house. Yeah.
Cohere doesn't have an API because it's simple.
But these are
Not here.
Cohere. I think Cohere has an API. Yeah. Cohere should have an API as well. Yeah. I just didn't list it. Sorry. Okay, and then here I have an example about the agent systems. How to do this? How to use this, for example, in production or in engineering practices or engineering design. You can just have it is really a toy example. Provide a bearing for the fan. What is the bearing? What is the fan? Well, you have to first find the fan in the model according to the controller, calculate the load, and find all the suitable bearings. So then the controller passes the first task to the computer-aided design agent which will write this query to the API of our 3D modeling software. This is an imaginary 3D modeling software. In search mode, select everything where the name is pen. Then we will get that, okay, part ID 23 and is a cooling fan for engine A. So then the controller says that, okay, now second step, find the maximal RPM for engine A cooling fans. Then the best practice advisor of the company will look in the documentation, and then it will say that, okay, the max RPM is 1,000, safety factor for fans is 2, so please plan according to this. Then the controller will take the lead again, and it will pass this task of simulation to the design software again, where it will say that, okay, in simulation mode, set the RPM of part 23 to 1,000. Of course, this is not as simple in practice, but the idea is the same. And then you get a maximal load vector. This maximal load vector will be passed to the catalog reader, who will be able to look for bearings with the maximal load and the dimensions that are provided from the 3D design software. And then it will give you, I don't know, 5 documents of the 5 first search results. And then the controller will decide that, okay, the results seem to be fine, so we can get back to the user now. We can give back the control. And then the chat agent will create a summary, for example, as a table for all the bearings, and then ask the user which one it should use. Okay, so this could be an imaginary agent-based scenario. We will try to work with these agents in a data science scenario now, so that will be the hands-on session. But the main idea is this, that we can design connectors where these agents can basically communicate. And then let me check with time. Okay, I am pretty fine with time. So before we get to the hands-on session, I will try to excite you with some exciting trends. One of them is efficiency of these large language models. Price drops are really crazy. So GPT-3's Da Vinci, which was released in 3 or 3.5 years ago, dropped by almost 100% in price. So it is basically free compared to the original price of it. The ChatGPT's 3.5 and 4 versions reduced by 1/3 within a year, and GPT-4o reduced by 30% in generation and 50% in the input prompt token price under 10 months. So this is the API cost of it, not the subscription, but the API cost. So basically every year the price gets halved, and we are talking about increasing capacity as well. So for the same performance, the price drops more than 50%. Question?
Is it because the hardware you are executing these models on is so much energy efficient, so much more energy efficient, or why can they reduce the price?
There are three main reasons. One of them is we can train more efficient models algorithmically.
And those are the same models in this case?
The second thing is that we can distill the same models to retain almost the same performance, but I don't know, 50% reduced size. And then there are also inference level tricks. So I would group them in this second group, like, you know, quantization, maybe 4 bits is enough instead of 16 bits, and then that's quarter the memory need. And then the third one is, of course, inference. Like, for example, with the original 3.5 and GPT-4 versions, you could have deterministic output. And with the new models, they kind of split your input in GPUs in a way that that routing your tokens through the GPUs is non-deterministic. And some of the layers are skipped, which are not that important, but skipped. And so that's the meaning or the semantics of the generated text remains the same, but the exact tokens can change just a little bit. I don't know, instead of Kutya, you get Ed and whatever. So that's these are examples which you can see. You cannot make these models deterministic by now. So there are some dirty practical considerations in the background as well. They tried, and now you also have 50% down because they are caching the tokens for 8 hours. So they don't have to run all the tokens through the model when you want to put a new token at the end, but they save it for 8 hours somewhere. And then they load all the intermediate activations for all the layers from that cache, and it's easier than calculating it. So these are practical tricks, basically. Also, the attention implementation was upgraded like 3 times in the last 2 years, so that also reduces time it takes to calculate it. Second thing is multimodality. You might have seen multimodal AI models that can also read audio, image, and video, and also generate text. These do the same. You just take an input stream, you tokenize it, and whatever you can tokenize in a sequence is similar to text, so you can train a GPT on it, and that's it. Okay, and you can do the same with whatever. You can do the same with 3D space as well. So if you are in your field, then you can look for like generative modeling of or autoregressive modeling or foundation modeling or predict next modeling of your field's data sets or data format, because there might be a few papers out there already on having a GPT tokenizing whatever subatomic simulation you have, because you can do it. You can just slice it up, patch it up, vectorize it, and then you are good to go. Action models are out there, so you can, for example, tokenize robotic actions and use them as outputs. So now the tokens can mean basically currents for your robot's arm as well. It doesn't have to be text. So here is an example where you have vision and language as input. It does the planning, and then after the reasoning in text, it starts to output target coordinates for the robot. So that a single model is capable of determining that, okay, if I want the blue plate, I have to first unload it, and then I can pick it up. Okay, so these are, I think, kind of strong capabilities. This one will be included, and I think there was some news that Anthropic also released such a program, where basically your model can take screenshots of your screen, find all the UI controls on them, and then decide which UI control to simulate a click or a button press on. So these AI models will be able to handle UIs that are designed for humans. So basically here you will see really soon that the request of the assistant, of the human, is to remove all the presentation notes from this presentation. And then there is this hidden setting with which the model has to find. So this will be the goal. And then after a command line comment, you can see that it takes a screenshot and then decides to click on file. And then there is a simulated file. Click. How does it do it? It just sends back a JSON saying that mouse click on this coordinate, and that's it. And then at each time step, it takes a screenshot of the screen, tries to detect all the manipulatable things, and now it will just scroll down because it didn't find yet the correct solution. And after that, there is the button, and then you can click it. Back then, when it was released, such an operation would be 5 minutes and $50. So that's definitely not the human rate thingy. With GPT-4o Mini, it's now down to a few cents and 3 minutes. So we are getting close to real time, or the human speed at least. Of course, the error rate is still, I don't know, 40%. So we are still a little bit better. But you will see that with agentic workflows, it can be mitigated a little bit at least. So there is an improvement, there is a trend, and it is said that Windows 12 will include a copilot, such will be able to at least recommend actions, and then you can just click on a button and then it will do it for you. It's a rumor, we will see. And then the second thing, have you seen these video generation models OpenAI Sora and things like that. This is a completely AI-generated video. It's pretty trippy. The ratios are not totally correct yet. And you will see that it is consistent for 2 seconds, but then if it that does a 360, then everything changes. This is not yet a good model for generation, but this is a good model for representing causal relationships, at least in a smaller time frame. So all the consecutive frames are kind of okay, and they kind of memorize or statistically model how humans would move, for example, and how a camera pan will look like if you are doing something like that. The interesting thing is, I will start it one more time. There is this crowd in the beginning. Check the walk pattern of the crowd. It will be like a second or something. You will see that everyone is moving to the same direction, or at least at the beginning they are doing so. But the newer models which came after Sora are already improving on that. So hopefully really soon we will see good models that can simulate to some degree causal relationships in time. And the same goes for example, the temporal modeling of text to motion models, where you can just zero-shot ask to show karate kicks, and then it will generate all the frames that are needed. You can also ask it to explain whatever motion it can see. So this is really strong in case of behavior analysis, basically. So these are getting there. Of course, it can do text to text, and then in the end, you will see that it can also do motion to motion, which I think is a little bit more interesting. So basically, it can just predict the next motion tokens, which will be the next few seconds of this motion. So that's how you can basically model the world. So yeah, I think we have talked about everything. So do you have any questions to this theoretical part, or should we jump to coding? Yes, question.
What curious so that I always have is that what about voice to voice? I see that even on your chart in the input you have voice, text, voice, images, but on the output you only have image and text.
Yeah, the thing is that synthesizing voice is kind of a demanding procedure, but OpenAI has released such a model not long ago. We had a suspicion that due to the world rolling into an election year, basically last year, due to the deepfake dangers, they didn't want to release it that quickly. But so that now the year is closing, we can see more and more providers just providing speech synthesis as well. So now for OpenAI, for example, we have this real-time API where you can just talk with it and it will talk back. We can also check it out. I have it on my phone as well if you really want to try. So let me check if we can go for it. Hello, I am presenting at a conference right now, and they were asking if there is a voice-to-voice setting in any large language model. Can you please elaborate on this a little bit?
Hello. Yes, there are voice-to-voice capabilities in some language models, including me, ChatGPT. This allows for spoken interactions where the model can understand spoken input from a user and respond.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Stop now. I just wanted to ask this. Now say goodbye to the audience.
Thank you for having me. Goodbye, everyone.
So even the intonations are kind of okay with these new models.
This is a paid version.
I think I have it for free right now, but maybe it's limited in the free version. The paid one is definitely working, and Google has, I have an Android phone, Google has its built-in version in Gemini as well. It's free. The only thing is that it will steal your data, and you have to press the voice recognition. Okay, use your data, yeah, sorry. And then you have to press the voice recognition button all the time. OpenAI put a full research group of 60 researchers on just doing this interruption thing, which I could do right now. So this is kind of an advanced and hard thing based on machine learning, but this is realistic and this is working right now. Yeah, so I think it's a good thing to try at least once, and then you can decide. And then the thing is that there was this voice thing with the Copilot as well. GitHub basically erased their voice-to-voice coding thingy, because imagine an office full of programmers who are using voice-to-voice mode. So that will be problematic. When we can translate from EEG to code, then this will be coming back, I guess, because you can listen to the voice, but you cannot speak up. So yeah, EEG is now a little bit an interesting thing. There have been 2 papers about this, I think last year, where they were able to semantically reproduce sentences from EEG signals if the person concentrated on that given sentence. And they had to personally calibrate each model for multiple tens of hours, where the person had to concentrate on whatever video he or she was listening to. So that's how you could calibrate such a model. And then EEG to text is also kind of working. For coding, I'm not sure when it will be that precise, but maybe in the upcoming decade. And then, interrogations will be kind of interesting at that point. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I would like to ask you to please get back to your computers. And I will really quickly walk you through my short presentation, and then I will start. I think then I would like to switch to a more interactive experience where I just show you what are the tasks. You can start working on it, and I will be walking around and trying to help you in order to complete it. Okay. So basically what we will be using.
We are not looking.
Okay, sorry. If I close this one, if I can. Okay. Okay, perfect. So about data science agents, we will be using Microsoft's Task Weaver, which is an experimental open source library for using an LLM in an agentic manner for data processing and coding. This is open source, this is configurable, and it has an included Python kernel by default, so you don't have to do anything rather than the 10 install commands we will see here. I will get back to all the commands which are needed, but basically we will clone the repository and install the requirements. That's it. Do not try to copy it right now. I will just explain what the plan is. The main idea behind this Task Weaver is that you can have some plugins, some tools your agents can use. So the idea is that you have your user query. It will be going to the planner, which will be the controller agent in this case, who has an LLM inside. So this LLM powers it. And then you have a few examples by which it might be able to correct its behavior. And it also has a memory buffer where it can save some intermediate results. Then it will create a plan, which plan contains a set of subtasks. And then for each subtask, we will send a task query to another agent, which is a code interpreter, which code interpreter has a code generator agent or a code generator assistant who can generate code and also run code using our Python kernel. And then the results can be communicated back to the planner, who can communicate with the user later. So this is a kind of a simple agent setup with a few agents only. These are ready-made in Task Weaver. You don't have to write these, but what you can do is that you can define roles and workflows, which are for, I think, advanced use cases, where you might want to have a different coding agent or not a coding agent, but I don't know, a an article writing agent or a Grammarly agent or something like that. For now, we will be using plugin extensions, which are only usable in the coding workflow. And these should be callable Python functions. So we will supercharge our coding agent with a few preset functions, which we will define as plugins. So for example, there could be code-based operations. Examples could be like data query, weather forecast, semantic search, whatever. So there could be some preset functions which you want to happen in a way that you predefine them. So for example, we can go for an example. I provide you an example really soon, which is a finite difference time domain simulation for electromagnetic grids. Of course, coding such a simulation would be hard, but luckily there is a Python library for that. So we will use a Python library and we will configure the parameters of this Python library, and our LLM will be able to modify the simulation parameters by text, and then it will, the plugin manager will turn it into code basically in a predefined way. So there will be some grid parameters, sources, detectors, objects in the middle. These will be going into the plugin, and then the plugin will spit a few data and plot outputs for us. And then how we will develop plugins. Each plugin has a definition which is readable for the language model. So this plugin parameter, this plugin starts with a plugin name and whether it is enabled or not. And then there is a plugin description, which is a natural language description for this plugin. Then there is a Pythonic example code on how to call this plugin, so the language model will understand what are the workings of it. And then you list the parameters, like the name of the parameter, the type of it, if it is required or optional, and also the description on how to fill that given parameter, and you just list all the parameters. And then you list all the return values so that the model will know what to expect when it runs this plugin. And then we have to define a class, which is a plugin-based class. We have to register it for the model with this decorator, and it will have to contain a call function, where this call function is parameterized with the same parameters you gave to the language model. Of course, they have to be in harmony. And then it does whatever, it does our simulation, and then the return value will be the plots and the images for us right now, so whatever the simulation does. And then this would be the output if I do not run it. You will be able to try it soon. And this is the output if I run the correct simulation. So this is a visible upgrade just by defining how you want your simulation to run. Okay. And then this will be the hands-on session today, that we will be installing this system. We will be performing some data operations on it. And then you can try my predefined simulation plugin. And also I have included a half-cool or half-created simulation plugin, which is a free body simulation in 2D, where I basically just omitted the dynamics. So I'm an engineer by training, so I can do linear solutions for for dynamics in a loop. But maybe you can come up with a better one using any Python library you can imagine. So if someone finishes with the predefined experiments early enough, then you can try filling this free body problem solver with your own dynamic solver, and then you can plug it into the LLM model. Yeah, finding pseudo-chaotic parameters for a free body problem is hard. I have read a few papers by preparing, but it was Sunday night, so I then decided to just manually try a few. So I have included good-looking parameters in there, which is kind of chaotic for 10 seconds. I cannot tell you anything about the rest. If you know how to how to parameterize it in a stable way or an exactly chaotic way, then go for it after that. So let me show you where you can get access to the tutorial material. I have this GitHub. It's basically this, but let me get back. So I have this GitHub. If you navigate to this page without the Git, then you can also read it, or you can just clone this library in your VS Code as well. Basically, if you just open a new folder in VS Code and then open a terminal and write git clone and then this link, then you are good to go. And there is a special advanced cybersecurity trick in this whole thing that you will need an OpenAI API for it, which I will be providing, or basically the organizers are providing it through me. And this API key is like a few hundred characters, so I didn't want you to copy it. So it's up there in a password protected RAR file, and you can you can access it later. I will blog the API keys access after the session, so it won't work, but for now you can play around with it, and this is the password for it. Okay. Yes, this
will be run in a sandbox environment because it will run code on its own.
Yeah, the thing is that for now it will run in a local shell, local IPython shell with restricted access to folders. But the default and advised production way is that you install Docker and you install Docker dev containers, where the dev containers are a safe, isolated environment. For now, we will not use it because installing that will be another 20 minutes. So we'll be happy if we get started with it at all. But it can run code safely if we set it up correctly. Okay. Could you access this Git?
Yeah.
And in this Git, you can find the README file. And that README file contains really detailed information on step-by-step codes you have to run. So I will refer to that later. Anyone who hasn't found the Git yet, because I would like to change the screen. Okay, then I will change the screen to the README file as well, whenever I can make this kind of disappear. So the idea is that first you have to clone this Git, and then you have to clone the TaskWeaver library. Let me zoom in. So then second, you have to clone the TaskWeaver library, and then you have to navigate into the TaskWeaver library and install all the requirements. Okay, so for now, I would like to ask everyone to install all the requirements which are needed. I also urge you to please, if it's possible, then create an environment. And maybe I was wrong because I wanted to, sorry?
If you change continuously the screen, I cannot.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So just create an environment after cloning my repository.
Windows gépen is működik?
Igen, az enyém Windows.
Mert a Git-et is működik.
Installálni kell a Git-et, de a VS Code-ban van rá azt hiszem extension is.
Tehát a VS Code-nak a termináljában
Bármilyen működik igazából, de a VS Code-et külön installálni kell az extension-t hozzá. Itt esetleg az extension között meg tudod nézni, hogy a beiratunk itt a keresőt. Akkor az nagyon sok akkor lehet, hogy legegyszerűbb az, hogyha a netről letöltitek. Ez egy 2 perces install,
a netről letöltés az, hogy a klippel.
Magát a még desktop sem kell elég GitHub command line jelen esetben.
És azt mondta,
A git download a Google-be és az első ajánlat. Szerintem jó, ez is sajnos jó. Ez lehet HTTP2-s pont az lehet, igen. Currently directory files majd a valami. US small font. Kettős pont per, és www pont is kell szerintem. Lehet, hogy
Hogy esett a választások pont egyébként?
bocsánat?
Hogy esett a választások pont egyébként?
Ennek egy hosszú sztoria van, ez volt félig készen eddig, és az őszinte bevallásom az az, hogy egyszer egy nagyon hasonló eseményen együtt dolgoztunk bécsi fizikusokkal, és akkor ugyanez volt az intuíció, hogy akkor mutassunk valami physical related-et. Én nem értek hozzá ennél jobban. Tehát, hogy ez a... Úgy, hogy mondjam, könnyen paraméterezhető szimulációs library, ami talán érdekes nektek is ez a... Jó. So if you have, who has the requirements installed already? Hands up, please. It's 3, 4, 5. Okay, then I will wait 2 or 3 more minutes before going forward. You can follow the README file even if I scroll down a little bit, so you can get back to the point where you are stuck. And Marcel is really kind and he's helping me, so yeah. Igen, az a ROR van benne, aminek a jelszava a nagybetűs Wigner 2021-ben van egy apit, topén ROR. És hogyha azt letöltöd,
az egészet így csinálja, ide itt megvan.
és akkor bele kell menni hát a pip install Linux requirements, csak először egy
Csak ugye azt is
virtuális
hogyan?
a Python -m igen, model space VMV dupla sima VNV mint virtual environment. Egy elbetű még van, és egy helpet nyomja, hogy a create-et az pontosan hogy kell csinálni, mert azt hiszem a minusz-minusszal. Ha kihagyjátok, akkor érdemes a git financial management-ben akarni, mert utána tudsz saját magadnak is töltögetni.
Bocsik, nem tudom, hogyha ki erre jelszóra.
Mert 2024-ben nem kellett olyan. És akkor itt van egy olyan, hogy nincs create, akkor elvileg az van, hogy jön is felfelé. És akkor a minusznál helyett egy pont fel. Pont ben. Akkor a pont ben pontvába elvileg. És létrehoz neked egy variábelt. Ezt aztán mondani is, és akkor most elvileg utána tudsz csinálni egy pip installt. És akkor ez most ebben a virtual environmentben fogjuk megtenni, nagyon jó. És akkor most elvileg, ha aktiválod ezt az environmentet, azt úgy, hogy source. Pont space. Pont per. Pont ben. Per bin per activate.
Volt egy dupla színben egy különbség.
Ja, meg Windowsod van. Igen. Bocsánat. Olyan útvonalat nézett ki, az pont per. És nem kell szólni, pont per. Perc, és nagy esetleg. Nagy esetleg. Per és akkor most előleg van a speciális, és akkor így és kell telepíteni a nagyobb ötvözőt, és nem lesz. Az mi lesz? Ez jó, most az előműködik, okay? Okay, so getting back to the main track, if you have the requirements installed, then you will need to navigate into the project folder and then find the taskweaver config. In the taskweaver config, you have to set 4 parameters. The first one is for setting the OpenAI endpoint, so this will be using OpenAI. If you have a home server which runs the same API, then you can access this one. Currently, you have to modify taskweaver's code to run it on a home server, on a self-hosted LLM server. But hopefully by the next few weeks, you will be able to run it on locally hosted LLMs as well, and then no data will leave your network. The second one is the API key, which you can find in the RAR file in the repository with this high security. And then for the LLM model, I would like to ask you to set it to GPT-40-mini. This is kind of an okay-ish model. It is really quick and really cheap, so we can afford everyone working on it for the whole practice session. And then execution service kernel mode should be local. This is where we turn off the Docker code running, and then we turn it into a local IPython kernel. And then you just save it. Yes?
These lines are all there already, but how can I read the OpenAI token RAR file?
You have to open it with a
With whatever?
with an unrare command maybe, or a WinRAR or whatever you have, and then there is a text file in it where it will give you the API key.
Van ez a... Most nem látom ezt a képet.
Ja, ez a projectben vagyok.
Ott kell lenni egy taskweaver config JSON.
Linux ezt kínálja.
Ott van, azt abba beleírtam, az megvan, de a...
Hát annak kell kinézni.
A másikat töröljem ki belőle? Hát ami benne volt eredetileg.
Ja, persze, azt én felírtam.
Jó, benne voltam biztos, de oké. Ez megvan.
Az hogy valami ki helyére be kell írni.
Ja, hogy ide kéne menni. Én nem voltam ki a
Szerintem az működik, csak nem akarnak
hol vagyok.
Anyone who needs help, hands up, please. Yeah.
Darab is lehet. Ha nem érsz, nem ismét fel, akkor szerintem optimista valami.
De ez azt mondja, hogy nem akkor igazából szerintem most a következő, hogy megnyitjátok a projektvályákat, azt mondja,
Szerintem azt már is
Szerintem.
ez nagyon beteg.
az én mappámat.
És akkor egy unra, közben szóval mint extrakt. És a...
Nem mínusz el?
Nem.
OpenAI token. Mikor kérdezi a izét?
Felkiáltója a vége.
Nem, 24.
Az be a mikrofonba.
A végén.
És akkor, hogyha a pont TXT-t még rajta ki. Ezt kell felelni.
Ez még tart.
Továbbra is hiba van, most tovább is ott, igen, az újban most már jobb
Csak idézőjelbe, vagy a...
Ebben volt említetted
Az idézőjel közé.
Hát, de nekem nincsen még változó étrára, de 40 sőt.
És akkor most...
Én ma bocsánat, nagyon érdekel. Majd kétszerűen van jó.
a Jason-ben van egy eljárás.
Azt.
Ebben a sorba vagy följebb, hogy mindegy.
Azaz, igen.
És akkor most azzal menj. Megfelelően a távol.
Ez nem nincs egy rozomokban.
Megvan, akkor utána installálnod kell még ezt a chainetet, ami a WebUI-hoz kell, ez a...
Azt meg a teljesen jogos.
Hol van ez?
Nem látom, hogy mi a kép.
Ja, nem ebben. Akkor kell menni a izében.
Először, és te kell zárni a
Playground.
Hát a végre van.
Másik.
Igen, és akkor bejelentkeztem, és akkor
Playground. És az az új. És mindjárt megkérdezünk.
Itt olyan hozzáadni, hogy ezt a kell.
szerintem a
És akkor itt például ki lehet próbálni valamelyiket itt jósolnak, hogy ki próbáljunk ki.
Azt tudom, az a másfél hibája.
Ezt a szöveget jósoljam be, vagy mi?
Aha.
Ezen a terminálnak
Hát azt a...
És most a playground pedig megvan.
Most már jó.
Csak így meg és majd mindjárt mondok egy dolgot, amit érdemes lesz kipróbálni. Okay. So who could start the web UI, and we will get back to everyone to help. If you could start the web UI, then I gave you 3 simple tasks here, which you could try, where advanced reasoning could be interesting at least. And also in the GitHub, which I provided, so in my Git, you will find a sunspot observation dataset, and you can upload the CSV file to the console, to the terminal. Let me show you how. So basically, you can just attach a file. Okay, I cannot reach the server because I have stopped it. Let me really quickly find. Here it is. Connection error. If it's a connection error, then maybe you have stopped it. And then if you go here, and if I go in my code folder, and there was this LMSC, and then I upload the sunspot data, then I can talk about this sunspot data, and you can just ask that, I don't know, show me base statistics of the data after interpreting it. And then it will start planning whatever it has to do. So it now knows that it has to start with the loading of the CSV file. And then the program ape will generate a pandas code. It will give back the head of the data frame. Then it has to come up what kind of statistics we want. So it uses the base statistics function from pandas. And then gives me back all the statistics I was asking for. And then I get this really ugly dump, which is unreadable. So I will ask that, okay, reformulate the statistics, add more figures, and also a nice formatting. And then it will see that, okay, this is a single step thing, so we don't have to go for it. Then I have my new data frame which will be used. And then you will see that I will get a nice markdown table this time. Yes, yes. To actually run the code, you need to, okay, it's scrolled down now, but basically, here you need to change to playground UI folder and then run the app with Chainlit. Chainlit is a Python package, so basically it just must. It's in the Taskweaver folder, so the playground UI is in the Taskweaver folder. Yeah. Lehet, hogy az aki nem jól lenne máshol, azt megnézed esetleg, és akkor most csak írva egy hájt, és nézzük meg, hogy válaszol.
Ugye ez az a hosszú dolog.
Jó, és válaszol. Ezt az egészet bele csak idézőjelben.
Saját
Esetleg törvezd ki az egész sor.
Na, most itt vagyok.
Járt valamit, de ez nem néz ki szerintem szépen. Mi van ebben a jelen most? Akkor várjál, most dolgozik.
Ezen vagy azon is?
Most jó kérdés, hogy most egy lokál, de most nem teljesen értem, hogy
Nem, mi
fizikailag
oda
hol
bemegy, ott
történik.
van az elfelelőség gép van. És szerintem itt sem mindenki.
Úgyhogy feltelepítettem az Andrárt. Utána Andrár szöveget parancsol.
És a védeszó csak egy valamit megjelent.
Megkérdezte, hogy ezt
Ez az ámra.
Jó, és most azt mondja, hogy nem jó a fáj.
A csinbitet futtatom, és akkor ilyen.
Ez azt jelenti, hogy Jason nem van.
Ja, és az összes létezőiben elkövetőség.
Kicsit lemegyünk oda, hogy ez Happy Key-hiba lesz. Megmutatott a konfiguratációt.
Megint baj.
Megint ugyanaz?
Jaj.
Fura.
azt ennek lehet, hogy ennek a végére kéne.
Így vesz meg, ez nem hogy a végére. Ugye megnézem, hogy mi a sorvégződés, hogy az omnisztérium.
Ja,
GTV4 jó, az jó.
Mi a
megtudta is
nagyon hosszú. De hogy nagyon hosszú, meg végén. Szerintem 154 lesz.
Igen, azt nem.
Ja, 164-ből
Ott van ez.
és 8G
8G-a.
SK-val kezdődik, és SK-val
Most mindig csináljuk.
8 millió van egyszerűen?
Nekem is dolgozott egy darabig.
8G a vége. Igen, ezt meg tudjuk mindenki az enkódolásra. Még most nem
Hát de nézd meg.
Jasonnek mi az enkódolásra?
Ez még mindig
Ez,
az.
hogy helyileg hol van. Mert lehet, hogy
Ja,
Itt kezdődött a dolog, és
nem másoltott be
ez is dolgozott rajta.
az az alapmappában van, de az a project mappa alá kell másolni ezt. Igen,
Azt szóval,
Tehát, hogy az rossz.
a projects mappában másolni lehet, a task keyword projects mappában.
Tehát, hogy megpróbáltuk leállítani.
igen, project mappában kellene elkészíteni.
Menjek fel, és újra, vagy hogy szomszédják ide?
Hát kinek ez utas?
Nem fog elaludni?
Még egyszer.
Nekem igen, én elkezdtem játszani, és ezt így Ó, Isten. Jó. Okos.
Mehet újra visszamenni.
Dust Keyword. Megnézhetjük, hogy látjuk-e
Hogy tudom, ha megszabítottam, hogy tudom újraindítani?
Igen, ez
Most itt
ezzel újraindul,
Projektem.
és az indulását.
De nem, várjál, tehát itt van, csak ezt nyitom.
És az elvileg
Azt az egyszer elhiszem.
Azt nem tudom, azt
Az sajnos az ilyen szempontból limitált.
Akkor még egyszer rossz.
Ez a... hát nem tudom.
Csinált először egy ilyet, amikor nem töltöttem fel, akkor ez mesterségesen generált. Feltöltöttem a CS-t, amit megértett.
Nem jó, tehát hogy megold a kódját ilyenkor, tehát azért van az, hogy kiköpi a kódot, vagy hogy az ember tudja kézzel debugolni.
Nem semmi egyébként, elég látványos.
Okay, guys, there was one really important experience here, is that it can make wrong plots and it can make mistakes. So that's why you get all the plots in the intermediate reasoning, so that you can reflect on its chain of thought and its working process. So if you find any errors in the, I don't know, whatever pandas calls it will make during the CSV processing, then just make sure to ask it in natural language that, okay, do something else. So this is definitely something which needs transparency and needs a human check at this stage, but it can automate a lot. So that's it.
Most.
Ja, hallottok?
Valamitől beadtuk ezt azért.
Halló.
Ezért látszólag még valamit kell csinálni.
Halló.
Na, érted?
Lehet, hogy konzolból is indul, lehet, hogy beragadt neki valami internet stable. Ez a baj, hogyha nem dockerezünk, akkor ezt nem tudja leszakítani.
Ha van egy
Questions?
akkor van egy.
Okay.
Ezt nem van.
Change it. Csinálom, ez így tudja. Kisebb, mint 1.1.3. Mert nagyon
hol menjek be?
Okay, who could play around with the sunspots so far?
Halló.
Who has some obstruction still? Okay. Igen. De most bemásoltad akkor a...
Natabara, hallasz? Csinálom.
Egyből elrepülök erre a... Előbb kell az évbe rakni, előbb a szöveget.
Az mindegy, az mindegy.
Továbbra is igényeknek. Ezek neked megvannak?
Nekem végig tudott menni.
De nem, hogy ide, itt.
There is one missing comment from my whole README file. And I would like to show you that. I will update it and I will keep it on screen. So whenever you are finished with playing around with the model, you have to, just a moment, you have to install Task Weaver as a Python package as well, because plugins work in that way. Let me show you. So how to do this? You will need to navigate in the Task Weaver folder and then run this command pip install -e dot, because otherwise you will not be able to run the plugins. I'm really sorry, it's a typo I have made. I will make it a little bit larger even. So this is in the Task Weaver folder, otherwise it will fail. Okay. And you have to activate your environment while you are doing it. So do it from the same console you have been working from. Nehéz dolgot értek.
Ezt adjam ki. Szívvel. Most mit csinálják? Nem, ezt hol kell kiadnom?
Ezt nem csináltam.
Ja, pont kimondtad. Most ezt megcsináltam. Oké, de most újra megy vissza a zenétől.
Úgy döntök, hogy nincs ez, több biztos. Hogy átnézve az összes előző és majd nem egy tudós vagy. Wow. Ja, mert letöltött az újra.
Megnézzük a az elme kontroll szével ezt tudok is.
No.
És akkor ki egy sorban teszed, hogy az egy sorban.
Ez csak egy csomag,
ennek eredetileg kéne akkor. Esetleg még azt nézni, hogy abból az environmentből futtatod el, amiben telepített az requirement-eket.
Igazából, ugye ebből
egy kit listet tudsz nekem, egy special list. Az egy forzálat list, ez jó. Tudálkozni. És sok minden van benne, ez így jó.
Most építsük el egyszer.
Igen. Ahhoz a 106-os CSV-ből kell tölteni. Az benne van a kifejezés.
Nem lesz még jó. Nem találja.
Kérdőszögezés, megnevezés, ez nem egy ilyen izét, ez csak egy ilyen játék például.
UI.files.
De ez felülnéz ki, az a kérdés, hogy hogyan akarja filterezni.
Most szerintem őgedelmes.
Ja, mert a CSV-t meg akarod. Hát hova kell? Az a kapcsos, onnan a 20 rontól arra közvetlenül.
Ja, és meg ide két.
Hát az olyan elején érdemes. Ezzel együtt dolgozunk.
Nem csinálja, nem tudom, miért nem csinálja.
Oké.
Nekem ugyanazt csinálja, valami nem jó, valami nem
Nem tudom, hogy volt valami itt a kollégeknek, és ugyanabból az environmentből futtatod, ahova installálod.
Hát várjál, akkor csináljam előről.
Nem, onnan a konzolt, amiben futtatod, nem mutatok érve.
Igen.
Jó, és akkor itt nézzünk egy olyat, hogy ez úgy nem hogy meg is volt. Kérdés itt benne van.
Tegyen sem nagyobbra?
Ez jó. Hogy ez átadni nélkül nagyobb kérdés van benne.
Vagyunk így.
Van benne. Tehát elég a package-eid megvannak. Próbálj meg súlyba.
Mármint mit? Honnan?
A chain-it. Csak a chain-it nem. Meg ez lehet szerintem az alsó terminát.
Zárjam, vagy?
Mert az most megfagyott.
Nem a gyereke? De akkor ez viszont ennek vége.
Azt majd újra töltöd, az is a megoldom.
Tehát akkor ide megyek vissza, ezt a...
Azt próbálj meg súlyba, hát az megengedi.
Oké, de az hol vagyok? Ja, de ott vagyok most, nem?
Ott vagy elvileg.
Igen.
Nem biztos, hogy nem biztos, hogy ez lesz az, de ilyet én még nem láttam. Aktiválnod kell az embert, bocsánat,
Azzal?
nem tudom, hogy hova installáltad. Csináltad új ilyen beach.
Szerintem nem csináltál environmentet.
Oké.
Próbálj meg csak így nem megeszik. Hát akkor csak valószínűleg nem volt neki telepítve meg.
Ezt már csináltam, de az már csak nem megyek, szerintem akkor...
Csak azt mondja, hogy write a loop that brings numbers from it. Write a loop that brings numbers.
Érdekes. Én ezzel megküzdem.
És utána még mit csinál? Most mit csinál?
Természetesen meg kell nyisson egy Python kernelt, és az eredmény. De működik.
Nekem működik.
Virtual environment-et csinálni, akkor lehet, hogy az environment hiány lesz. Újra telepítetek az egyen?
Persze.
Köszönöm, akkor megyek hátra.
Csinálod úgy. Kezd egy ilyen Python -m-ben, és akkor adjál meg neki valami elérés úton. Tehát, hogy a Pythonnak csinálja egy lokális környezetet, hogy a rendszer fájlokat ne lássa.
Elmetek, azt valami észre csináltam, de most akkor még egyszer nem. Tehát most hova menjek be? Hova csináljam meg?
Az mindegy, hogy honnan adott ki ezt a parancsot.
Jó. Python
-m-ben. És akkor most adjál meg neki egy elérési útvonalat, hogy hova rakja a virtuális környezetnek a fájljait.
Mindegy, vagy adhatod egy új könyvtárat is, vagy mindegy?
Adhatod ide is ebben a napban, akkor valami nevet adjál neki.
Nem létezőnek kell lennie.
Igen.
Ezt nem csináljuk meg. Python -m.
Igen.
Azt nem csinálja meg. Python 3? Nincs fel is a
Akkor Python 3, igen, ez lehet.
De
Azt kell hozzá.
Oda volt ja, mert lehet, hogy igen, azt csinálja, hogy oda az MD-t.
ezt megcsinálja. Most már mit csinált, és akkor most újra adjam ki azt a chain-nak.
Akkor várjál, még aktivál, mielőtt bármit csinálsz, aktiválod a környezetet, ami azt jelenti, hogy csináld ezt, hogy a source menjél bele abba a mappába, mert először listáz ki azt a mappát. Abban van egy bin,
Igen.
és abban belül van egy olyan, hogy activate. Azt is activate. Jó, most benne vagy a virtuális környezetben. Nekem mit
Jó, de akkor most kimegyek és visszamegyek oda az újra. És itt megpróbálom folytatni ezt. Igaz?
Igen, de most mivel a virtuális környezetben vagy minden installálni kell, tehát pont ez a lényeg a virtuális környezetnek, hogy a package-ek azok külön vannak a rendszerben, külön vannak a virtuális környezetben. Az install, az összes ilyen
Okay, guys,
install.
some of you have reached this stage. Sorry.
Azért
Some of you has reached this stage where you want to play around with the plugin, and for that you need to install the requirements plugin file. And some of you are on Linux, and I just dumped my requirements from my Windows machine, which means that there is a PyWin package, which is non-existent on Linux, and it's not needed at all. So for in the requirements _ plugins txt, just delete the PyWin and everything that has been inside. And when you delete these lines, I'm just checking, making sure there is no other Windows related yet. So PyWin and the line right under it should be deleted. So PyWin 32 and PyWin PTY. If you delete these from the requirements plugins, then it will work on Linux as well. I'm sorry.
Ezt nekem kell, vagy megy
Ez a Windows.
Átváltoztattam a nevét. Ez a pénzről kéne, hogy lehozzam, és ennek ellenére
Ha becsukom ezt az ablakot, ezt az egészet elfelejti, ezt a environmentet.
Nem felejti el, csak tehát úgy igen, hogy az új terminál ablak az nem beleszok fel. De ugye minden, amit most találsz, az abban a mappában, amit ott definiáltál a backend telepítésre.
Itt a keresnek ilyen állítva, mikor üzenetet azt félek nyújtani. Ugye ezek itt szalvannak, ezek ugye nem
Az nem kell, hogy legyen ki. Bocsánat.
Papúra védelmi volt?
Volt.
Viszont a felek volt a cél.
Ja.
Tehát két külön van valamiért, és az egyik megváltoztatott, de a másik botlott, nem?
Tehát nem felel vagyok. Igen, mert ugye itt, amikor klónoztam, akkor ide klónoztam.
Tehát abban lép be a terminálból is. Hogy a terminálos mappától.
Vagy akkor oda lépnek.
Akkor az már nem mert egy mappában. Ez a fő mappában van a LMS cégében. De ezt tehát ezt nézd meg, ott a Taskweaver mappán kívül van az LMS cég minden, ami van netem. Igazából, ha ezt nem töltött.
Illetve ezt kéne oda másfél, ha elég lenni.
Nem tudom, kellene választani. Minden hangzik.
És abban az environmentben vagyok, hogy mindenemben van elvileg.
Ja, ott vannak ilyen. Egy átjolgató kérdést leírsz neki, és ugye a harmadik tán...
Ez most már megvan a néző. Ez már így van benne.
Én még össze kell
Ilyenkor jön az őrült, hogy versgős van, és a többi sokkal szól.
Na, végre.
Ha még öltük másodra. Most már azért sem megy.
Jó helyen vagy.
Mindent, ahol mondtam.
Ezt a mínuszás
Azt nem csináltam, az mit csináltam?
mi azért furcsa, mert azt én sem csináltam meg, de nekem
Azt micsoda?
a Taskweaver mapájából írst a mínuszásot. Itt nincs a mínuszásot. Most próbálom.
De nem ott vagyok. Most
Volt egy olyan kiegészítés, ez a leírás, hogy valamit meg kell írni, hogy a lássuk.
Igen.
most megvan.
Az hogy lehet, hogy nekem anélkül is megy?
Lehet, hogy mázid van.
Szeretjük az én magyarázatokat.
No, this should be run in the Taskweaver folder because it installs the Taskweaver folder as a package.
Azt én nem csináltam meg, és sikerült.
Ezt igen, de az FDTD-t majd nem fogod tudni.
Azt nem.
Ki az lesz a következő, mert itt most már az FDTD akad el majd emiatt.
Na most tovább.
Jó, most végig fognám menni, és fogok kapni egy full kék ábrát, ami azért lesz full kék, mert 1818-tól máig lezáróra lesz a víztenger. Nekem azért néz ki, mert azt mondtam, hogy 2018 vagy.
De most megint
Még hogy?
Ez jó, így az jelenleg így kell, hogy így az van, ez beszéltük, hogy nem megy elég statikus, akkor majd indulával.
most már meggyőzöttem.
Menjenek tovább.
Vagy hát, hogy innen megyek ide.
Hogy elkaptunk, nem értettem.
Na ez? Akkor neked más kép értelmeztem a feladatot.
És akkor mit mondani?
Természetesen megörököltem az egyébként köztül. Tehát például lehet az, hogy napok helyett az X-tenger legyenek a hónapok.
Az első cég ezt mondjuk, köszönöm más, most köszönöm
De ez hülyeség, mert itt neked az mi van? Neked is ez, hogy jó, hogy megvan.
Én azt mondtam neki, hogy a napokat felejtse el, és a hónapokat hoz.
Ezt megcsináltuk, ez
Hogy lehet lezárni?
Nagyon durva egyébként, látszik valami aktivitás a ciklusról. Minél sötétebb, annál nagyobb a
Hogy hívják,
de ahogy látszott, a 10 éves jó disziplínás.
Ez az, ami sokkal megváltozik, valami csak.
Okay, since everything is fine, how can I start this MVP?
You just request. I run everything simulation.
Yeah.
És valószínűleg az lesz, hogy beindítottuk, akkor az environment hiba volt.
No.
Okay, so anyone who gets stuck in the executing code loop, you should create everything in a separate environment. That's the solution. So a virtual environment is a must, not an option. That's it. Python minus m-ben és a monka. De igazából, bocsánat, mert megfogtam a modellokon,
Mikor már a másik is? Az előbb ugyanazzal a...
Hát én már nyitottam egy újabb lapot.
Ez mint az
Hogy nyitsz újabb lapot? Ugyaninnen?
Lokálhoz 8000.
ábrázolja.
Ja, hogy itt?
Próbálgatsz mindenféle adatot
Mondjuk
De ehhez kell megint az adatbázis, vagy az nem kell?
ez nem.
10.266-on.
Már tőlem ezt nem kérdezte meg.
Ja, nem kirajzoltad?
Nekem kirajzoltam. 10.72-en.
Azt mondom, hogy most egy végtelen hosszút csinál, ha megnyitod a kontrolli célja a terminálodon, akkor lehet, hogy fogod, hogy már 2 milliárd szerből a 2000. mindet egy nyomé kontrolli cél.
Egy különböző, ugye?
Jó, tehát a paramétereket, azokat esetleg másolt be neki a description-ből, a YAML file-ból, mert azokat én úgy számoltam ki, hogy ez biztos, hogy lefusson. Mert tehát, hogy nincsenek benne gárdélek, hogy ne csináljon hülyeséget még. Nyomsz rá még egy kontrollcélt, még egy páros, hogy reménykedem benne, hogy egyszer kilép, vagy ha ők elindítva. De hogyha bemész a májélenek,
Ez az, amikor megerőszük a diákodat. Tudtam neki, hogy nem baj, azért, csak azért is plotolja ki.
Igen, igen.
10.250-en. Gyönyörű. Először nem akarta, de mondtam neki, hogy azért csak azért rajzolja ilyes.
De valószínűleg tudom.
Valószínűleg igen.
Okay, just to demonstrate this FDTD simulation really quickly. So if you want to get good parameters for your FDTD, because it can run for an infinite loop, then if you go into the configuration file, which you can find in the main folder, but you had to copy, then you have this example call in line 8. And if you just copy these parameters really easily, really quickly, then you can just go for create an FDTD with, and then you just copy it there. And then these configurations will be fine. And then you can play around with it, like, I don't know, double the time, add more items, whatever. So after a code execution, it then generates the configuration. And then
Where this configuration?
it was in the main Git, LMSC Git, which I provided you. So here were the sim and the YAML files, and you have to copy these in the plugins folder. And then after some time, it then generated everything. So here we have the H field over time on the detector. Here we have the E field over time. And here is the simulations plot, basically. And then if I just ask it to, I don't know, okay, add more objects with larger permittivity. Is it the correct word? I guess, yeah. Then it will add multiple objects. And now the simulation will have different parameters, and it will run a correct simulation library. So you can see that instead of that one square object, now I have multiple with kind of large permittivities. Then hopefully I will have the images copied back to my chat really soon. And now it's reporting the artifacts to me. So here are the images, which will be visualized whenever it finishes typing. And now I have 3 objects with larger permittivities, and then the detector's absolute field value over this detector line. This blue line is a little bit different. Okay, so okay, it works for you at least. So there is proof that it's not only my machine. But this is what can you do, but what you can do. And then also, if you want to play around with the free body problem, then you can take the free body solved and the configuration of it, copy, paste it in the project plugins folder, and just rename it to normal free body. That's an important thing, that everything should be without the solved. And then after a quick restart, I will be able to go for a default value, so run the default free body simulation. I'm using slangs now just to make everything faster, and then the code interpreter hopefully will find the correct parameters for it. And then we will hope that this machine seems to be okay-ish for this problem, because I was testing it on my beefier home computer, but hopefully it will finish the simulation in a few seconds. And then the interesting thing is that this generates an animation. So we will see it in time after a few seconds at least. Let me check the console. It is running, so hopefully there will be a result. Okay. So if it's too slow, then we will have to resolve to, oh, sorry. Yeah, then it will need a little bit more time, it seems.
Midnight, could you please
Yeah.
explain what the role is that this task beaver?
Yeah, so the,
Or whatever.
yeah, so this whole role of the task weaver application is that people wanted to run agentic ChatGPT pipelines, basically, where it can iterate and run tasks in multiple steps, basically. Nowadays, the normal ChatGPT plugins behavior is getting closer and closer to this. So this was a Microsoft Group's invention who works kind of closely with OpenAI. And this was released by the end of or the second half of last year or something. So it came a little bit earlier than the coding ChatGPT plugins. And there are rumors that in January we will start receiving OpenAI's agentic platform as well. So this will be built into ChatGPT by the beginning of next year, hopefully. So for now, it's good for local experimenting and integrating your own plugins into this whole sequence. So if you had a web API for whatever measurement tool you have in your lab, then you can communicate with that as well. So I had some experiments with some robots that were running around, and the robots were just, measuring LiDAR distances. And then I was, asking for it that plot the current, SLAM map of whatever the robot has explored, and in real time it can access that API. So this is to enhance the capabilities of an LLM with external tools, basically. It's again a toy example, but maybe it sparks some. Okay, sorry. Maybe it sparks some extra info, and it seems that my free body simulation utterly failed. So let me first of all restart, and then let's start a new chat. And again, if you do not have a too beefy computer, then again, you can just copy whatever here is in the example. And then in order to make it a more lightweight thing, then I will go for, 100 maybe here, and then ask it to run a free body simulation with this config. Of course, so the interesting thing is that how I got this config is that I asked it to create a triangle and have tangential speeds so that they start to spin around, basically. That was the main idea. So this parameterization is not even created by me. It was an earlier task weaver iteration. So you can converse with these basic shapes and formats and whatever. Yeah, just make sure that if you ask it to, reuse the masses by 100, then they will set mass free to 0 without any questions. So that could be a problem at this point. More clever models like the normal GPT-4o and not the mini version would be able to solve it in a better way. Let's hope this will run now. And if not, then I will have to try running it from this file, because I'm kind of interested in why the hell is it not working. Okay, it's working now. So now I got the result, and then you can see all of the small things running around after the simulation is concluded. So this seems to be kind of okay. It's kind of slow and small because I couldn't run it for enough time steps, but you can just go for it. I've written this extension so that it automatically extends the scale of the y and x axis. So it should be visualizing everything. And then you can just ask that, I don't know, set the starting speeds to 10% of the current, run for, I don't know, twice the lengths. And then at this point, it will be able to update the parameters. Now you will see that the total time is 200. So it will take twice as much time as it took before, but it will run the simulation again. So this is really just to spark ideas. You can imagine what kind of applications you could probably use if you had things like this. Maybe if you have, I don't know, thousands of experiments you want to run from a spreadsheet, then you can do sanity checks line by line if you have any information on that. Or maybe if you just have a large dump of data and you're interested in some specific parameter and you are lazy, or let's say in a rush, and you don't want to write all the data handling Python or Pandas code, then you can just ask an agent to iteratively create whatever views of your data or your measurements you want to see. So these are kind of okay-ish. I still like to be in control somewhat, so I like to use these codes in a generated Jupyter notebook when I can modify it according to my taste. So for that, Copilot is also okay. So if I were to, I don't know, use Copilot on the sunspot data, then let me show you. So if I were to use Copilot on this sunspot data, then I would just create a new file, go for test.ipy notebook, and then here you can write something like data header, and then usually it's a good idea to copy the header of the data set so that your model knows during typing what kind of data you will work with. So otherwise it will not see directly. And then you can just start typing, I don't know, creating a yearly view of all the sunspots summed. And then hopefully you can just start importing Pandas SPD. And I'm not sure why my Copilot is not triggering at this point. Okay, so it's in the U location now. And then it's not working. Okay. Maybe it's due to the fact that I haven't updated it. It should be working at this point. But maybe I can show you this edit mode, which was already foreshadowed. I can just add a file. I can say that I want to edit this test notebook, and then, I don't know, complete it. And then it will start generation. And then it will add the simple hello world. That was okay, because I haven't saved the file. So now it doesn't see anything. Let me stop it really quickly. So it starts hello worlding all around. We start again, Discord, and continue. And then I just add my file in this editor, and then go for complete analysis. And then it starts generating some code. And this code will be really nicely inserted into my notebook whenever we get there. It is not inserted at this point. I'm really sorry, haven't prepared for it. But anyway, using a Copilot is usually much, much better if you have your environment set up correctly. If you do not mind, then let me get back to my home computer, where I have some Okay. I have some chats open, but maybe I will just close these before any private information gets leaked. And then I have my Peabody thing here. Okay, so sharing my screen again. So here, for example, if I wanted to go for some edits, can you see the screen? Okay. Then if everything is set up correctly, then you should be able to go for normal editing operations, and then you can go for edit, visualize sunspot data.csv, and then this model will be able to give me some results very soon, hopefully. This is where you wait.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Can you limit the number of tokens TaskViewer uses?
There are configurations hidden deep inside, yes. So you might be able to limit it. Yes. You should be able to go for it. Also, if you have this FreeBody file open, then here are two to-dos which you should complete in order to calculate the forces and update the forces, velocities, and positions. So you can write your own dynamics later. And you can also prompt Copilot to calculate the pairwise forces, and then it just starts to calculate. And it seems to be kind of okay-ish. Yeah. So it now knows how to calculate the gravitational forces in 2D at least. So this is also a possibility. Okay. So now you can see that the second one is also generated. So these are the things you can do with such agents and such copilots. I would say that we have less than 10 minutes left. So if you have any questions which I could answer, which would hold global interest, then let's discuss it. If you have any personal bugs still remaining in the coding setup, then I would be happy to assist you in the next minutes. There was a hand up in the chat.
Yeah, actually, I raised my hand 1 hour ago. So
which asks where is the API key, and it was asked an hour ago, so I'm really sorry. Again, let me go for the, okay, but there was another question. So I will have to put it here. So this is here. Okay. And then since we will be shutting off the whole OpenAI thing really soon so that it will not get leaked at that point, then I will show you, if you go to platform.openai.com, then you can register a programming API for OpenAI. This is the safest way of accessing it because they at least promise that they will not train anything on your data. It's a pinky promise, of course, so take it with a grain of salt, but they should be kind of okay at this point. And here you can make a registration, and this is like a prepaid version of OpenAI. You are using a few dollars for using it, basically, and you will get billed based on your usage. It's really hard to use $20 in this playground, which is the $20 minimal subscription for the chat interface. So if you just use it for, I don't know, turning CSVs to .dec tables and whatever. This is a really frequent use case, and the ChatGPT is really good in this. So if you are just using it for this cause, then this is good to get a protected platform where you get billed on based on the usage. And then you can create API keys for yourself. Later, here is this API key basically. And then if you just click on create a new key, then you will be able to get your own key and play around with it at home. The prices are not that problematic, I guess. If you check out my monthly spends, then we are still under $11, from which free was my home usage, I guess. So we used altogether $7 on this workshop or something like this. So it's not a horrible price.
But
Or
you can give me the invoice.
yeah. Okay, but I just wanted to highlight the range of prices. So this is not a really expensive thing to play around with at home. Okay.
Ezt hogyan futtatni?
This was the GPT-4o mini.
Okay.
So this is the cheapest
Just
one.
warn them that if they use O1, then.
Yeah, so if you're using the latest models, they take like 60 times more money. So if you use a large, chunky, expensive model for running this, then we could get, I don't know, several $100 of bills by now.
I like chunky O1 mini is.
O1 mini is already
a lot.
10 or 20 times more expensive, so you have to look for the prices. You can check it out. There will be token-based prices. For 1 million token, you will get whatever prices. Yeah, question.
Could you please show what was your text in the command window to get this nice simulation?
I asked it to run with this config, which I copied from the example from the YAML file, and then I also asked it to reduce the speeds to 10% and up the total simulation time to 2 times more or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's how you can play around with it at home as well. And Copilot is really good as well, in my opinion, despite the fact that we couldn't demonstrate it, or at least I couldn't demonstrate it. Now Barca did a great job. So in my opinion, so I'm not at all affiliated with any Copilot related things, but it really like takes part of my job, but takes the boring part. So this is a good deal.
And also like a fraction of your base, so it's fine.
Yeah, but 3,000 for it. So whatever. It's fine. Okay. Anyone who has any comments before we finish? Then I would close the formal part of the session. I think we will be here for a few more minutes before we leave. So if you have any personal questions, then we are open to answering them as well. Thank you.
Yeah, let me just also say a final word. So first of all, let me thank all the speakers of today, even Máté, who has already left, to make a very hard work with us, make us very hard work. But I think we learned a lot, and I hope this you can really use in your scientific life. So let's take again all the speakers. Let's see if there in some other meetings. So I think the formal part is over, but you can still be here and ask a couple of questions. But in a half an hour, we plan to close them. Okay, thank you. Thank you.